everyone. I just realised I'm very close to the screen, so you can see my big face is filling the whole screen up. How are you doing, everyone? Welcome to Wrestling Royalty and Gimme a Hell Yeah. We are here back on a Friday. It's been a week where we had a week off, but we are back with a vengeance, or back with Elimination Chamber, whatever you like to say. Of course, I'm joined, and I'll bring him in a second. I'm joined by Mr. Sam Smith from Gimme a Hell Yeah, who is pulling, I believe, triple duty tonight, and I'll let him tell you a little bit more about that when he comes on. But here tonight, we are going to be talking about Elimination Chamber and all the fallout that happened on Monday Night Raw, because it's been a busy week in WWE inside the ring for a change, and it's great to be talking about all things inside the ropes rather than anything outside of it, and it's very exciting. Things are starting to take shape on the road to WrestleMania. We are well and truly underway. I believe we're 36 days away now from the first night of WrestleMania. So all systems go. Lots to talk about. We're going to do this very, very quickly because we've got a bit of a slideshow for you with some pictures. We will kind of show you as we're going along to keep us on the straight and narrow. But before we go any further, I think it's only right that we bring in my co-host, Mr. Sam Smith.
Oh, hi.
How are you doing?
I'm all right. WrestleMania is the next pay-per-view. Can you believe it?
I know.
You'll be in the building. We were both in the building last time. I won't be this time. I'll be at home in my boxers, drinking beer. It's going to be one of them WrestleManias, and I actually can't wait. I really can't wait.
What a visual to kick things off there. Sam and his boxers watching WrestleMania, which, to be fair, it's the way to do it. I don't think I would get away with that inside Philadelphia. I might have to wear more than just my boxers. But anyway, let's see what happens. Maybe we'll get there, maybe we won't. Did you enjoy, while I was away, Elimination Chamber live from Australia, Perth, Australia? Because if anyone watched it, it was a walking billboard for why you should visit Western Australia. But did you enjoy the actual show?
I did. I look like the guys. We did a live stream. I had to watch it a couple of days later because I was up in your neck of the woods, actually. But I was watching Anthony's stream from the car, which was quite funny. I've never done that before. But it was a really fun way to spend the car journey. But yeah, I watched it a couple of days later, and I really liked it. I thought I didn't. Nothing massively set me on fire, but there was nothing bad either. It was just one of them shows where it was just all right. It was good. Like the men's match, I thought was great. Everything else was a little bit. I can see why some people thought it was a bit meh. But I think it got a bit of hate on the stream, and I remember thinking, nah, man, this has been all right. I don't know what you're all talking about. So, maybe that's just me.
Well, we'll get into it straight away. We're not going to sort of mess around too much because we are going to try and go things very quickly because, as we'll get to towards the end, Sam is going to be on not once, not twice, but 3 times tonight on Gimme a Hell Yeah, and you can kind of watch along with him. But we do have a lot to talk about because although there was only a few matches, there was a lot happened. There's a lot happened on Raw as well, and we're keen to talk about it. What we're even more keen for is to hear what you have to think about Elimination Chamber, what you have to think about where we are on the road to WrestleMania. Get in touch. Let us know in the comments whether you're watching this right now live, whether you're watching this back in the future, or just catching up with it just before SmackDown and things like that. Leave us a comment. We'll get back to you. If you do it right now, we promise we will have a look through and read it out more likely, just as Johnny Autism Wrestling has done, which is nice to see. When The Rock says Cody Crybaby really does offend me. I know his job to make people upset, but can we not say Cody Crybabies? Because it really is offensive to me. It needs to stop. It really does.
You might have missed this, Andy, but on the Elimination Chamber stream, Ant was poking fun at me, saying, "Oh, here's Sam, he's our resident Cody Crybaby."
I did see that, yes.
And I'm not going to lie, I'm actually proud of being a Cody Crybaby because we were right. And I genuinely and passionately believe, and also Cody made being a Cody Crybaby cool at Elimination Chamber by owning it and encouraging the fans to own it. So, sorry, guys. Johnny Autism Wrestling, love your name. I'm, as a proud member of that community, I love your name. I can safely say I am a Cody Crybaby and I'm proud of it. But I'm also a massive Rocky fan, so it's all good. And Norma's in. Hello, mate. And my dog's swinging into the...
Norma, the absolute regular for Gimme a Hell Yeah, so it's lovely to see you in. Of course, on a Friday, we've got a lot of streams for you to be tuned in and let us know your opinion. And he says, they say a lot of people complain the matches were too predictable. but with the storyline you have in motion, it is what it is. Yeah, I did put that in the description, whether it was one of those things that was maybe a bit too predictable. I know through the fact that we do a predictions competition for Gimme Hole, I'm sure there was a lot of people who got a lot of it right. That's why I think Dan tried his best to stick a few different questions in the sense of who's going to be first to be eliminated, stuff like that. So again, we'll talk more about another predictions competition that's coming up later tonight. In fact, in less than an hour, they'll be going through predictions for AEW, which I believe is tomorrow night or Saturday night.
Oh, I actually forget. I think it's Sunday night, or is it? I don't bloody know. I think it's Sunday night, but I can't keep track anymore. I don't know. Someone tell me. Someone know.
In 50 minutes, I'm sure.
All I know is I can't watch it live because I'm in Centre Parks. That's all I know. So I'll have to find a way of catching up.
But you can find out the details in about 50 minutes time on Gimme Hole. There'll be a prediction show on there, and Dan himself will be on. He will explain a little bit more about how it works. But for now, we are talking about Elimination Chamber. So let's go into it. We'll talk a little bit about whether it was predictable, whether certain matches that weren't or there were. So let's talk about Rhea Ripley. Because Rhea Ripley for Elimination Chamber, this is her homecoming in her native country. She had the main event against Nia Jax. Now, I'm going to ask you a big question straight away. Was this main event worthy, Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax? Did you feel like that was what should have closed the show, or did you feel like it was just kind of pandering to the audience slightly?
The criticism of it was a predictable show is both valid, but also at the same time, any idiot can figure out the WrestleMania card at this point before WrestleMania. So Elimination Chamber is always kind of up against the odds at being predictable. And this match kind of suffered from that as well. Like, Rhea Ripley is the biggest female star in the company right now. It makes sense for her to win that match. Nia Jax was fed to her. They've done a really good job in recent weeks of building up Nia Jax to be a legit threat. And they're still going with that as well. So, but for me, Nia Jax isn't a big enough star. I get what they were trying to do, but it didn't quite come off for me. I think there was a lot of fan service and trying to get Rhea Ripley over, which it certainly did. She was massive a baby face in this, but it was. I'm kind of glad we can move on from it because it wasn't really stadium main event level for me. Bear with me, Andy. I'm just going to go and shut this door after my dog smashed open the door. You carry on.
No worries. Well, Sam kind of covered a couple of things that I was on my notes that I had made because I was actually across in America when it was on. So unfortunately, didn't get to appreciate the nice early start that it would have been if I was in the UK. But when I watched it back, because the network doesn't work across there, so I had to wait until I was back from the States to watch it. I thought the main event was a little bit flat, personally. When you have these big stadium events, they can kind of go one or two ways. It's great for visual shots, not so much the noise, because the noise kind of gets lost a little bit into the air if it's an open stadium. Things like SoFi were a little bit different because at least it catches some of the noise because of the roof that's on there. Things like that in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, the same. But very much this Opus Stadium that they had, the noise seemed to be lost somewhat. I didn't really feel a big atmosphere for Rhea. You could tell people were like excited. I just didn't really feel that it was something that you would be pumped up for a main event. And interesting that Nia Jax, I think, probably put in one of her better performances. She certainly seems to get the little things better now in terms of like pandering to the audience a little bit more, slowing down, making things look a little bit more dangerous. But to me, still odd placement for this outside of it being someone in Australia, being back in Australia. And I just thought it maybe felt a little bit flat and one of the Elimination Chambers maybe should have closed the show. Just me, but let me know. Am I wrong? Is Sam wrong? Is this a match that deserved to be on last, or is it something that you think maybe was just a complete pandering to the audience? And let us know in the comments.
I'm of the same opinion, by the way, mate. I'm of the same opinion. I think the men's chamber probably should have gone on last. I get why they did it, but I think after that. I'm not going to lie to you. When I actually watched this back, I watched the men's chamber. Then I went to the gym.
Yeah.
Because because I knew what was going to happen here. I knew it was going to be an average match because Nia Jax was in it. No disrespect to her, and Rhea was going to kick the crap out of her, and that's exactly what it was. So I could go to the gym comfortable in the knowledge of what was going to happen, and I came back, and that's exactly what I saw. So that's my point. Is I wasn't that hyped for it, but I was hyped for Rhea. And happy for her to be where she was doing, and her family are all lovely as well, and her family all look like her, which was great. So there you go.
No, absolutely. You're not on your own there, because I was getting messages from John, who often joins and comments, and he said as soon as the men's one finished, he went, "Well, that's my Elimination Chamber finish," and he was happy just to turn it off at that point because we knew what was going to happen. It would have been one of the biggest shocks in a long time if Nia Jax had beat Rhea in Australia for the title, especially this close to WrestleMania. So, as you say, great for Rhea and fantastic for her to kind of carry a pay-per-view, premium live event. I think that's where it ends, though, for me. I also personally, this has only been the first time that Rhea has kind of done much in the way of with the title or with the rest of the women's division. She's been a little bit lost in the sort of Judgment Day storylines and things like that before. So it's nice that she's come back to that. I think she's got a little bit of work left to do when it comes to the women's division. Unlike the winner of the Elimination Chamber, Becky, who has been down on NXT. She's been like in the kind of like the storylines for the women's division away from the title, which is what they've actually needed for a long time. So for me, I think Becky was the obvious choice to go with here. And I wasn't that surprised to see her win. What about yourself? Was this again another paint by numbers match where it was pretty obvious that Becky was going to win because of how they had positioned things in the build-up?
I thought the entire pay-per-view was. So, like, you can ask me that question another 5 times, and I'll say yes. Look, it needs to be Becky. Becky needed to win this because the money match that we all want to see, at least I'm speaking for a lot of people, but in terms of the star power at Mania, where it deserves to be, is Lynch versus Ripley. I'm really looking forward to that. Honestly, I am. Becky looked strong here. I think she was in the chamber with the right people as well. I was really happy with it. But no, I was never any doubt in my mind Becky Lynch was winning this. I would have comfortably bet my car on it or something like that. And I'm glad she did. But do you know what? The whole pay-per-view being predictable for me didn't take, particularly this match, didn't take away from it. I still enjoyed this match. I didn't think it was the best Women's Elimination Chamber I've ever seen. It was certainly good. There was nothing wrong with it. But for me, I'm still a fan of the one where Shayna Baszler just killed everyone. That to me is still the best one. Because that was just the storytelling in that one was good. But this was about Becky Lynch getting back on top. And I think that's good enough for me. Yeah.
And I think one of the things maybe that I was alluding to before is Rhea's not really had anyone that's been believable to take a title off of her. Becky Lynch is possibly the first time in a long time that she's had someone where you think, okay, maybe someone as good as Becky Lynch would be that, can take that title away from her, and her winning the Elimination Chamber certainly builds her back up to that sort of status. Norma, I did mention about Rhea there. Rhea played a good babyface to Nia's mega heel character. I wonder if Rhea will continue with this trend after Mania, especially if Becky wins by cheating. I've seen a lot of this talking about a potential double turn, Becky becoming a heel and kind of like doing whatever it takes to win, potentially by nefarious ways, and Rhea becoming more of a face. We've seen a bit of friction within the Judgment Day for the first time as well. So it seems to be hinting that they're steering into how over Rhea is with the crowd. Like, it's not just Australia. She's loved across in the US as well, so all the world over really. So it'd be interesting to see if they do decide to go down that route. But great point there, and one that I think has been echoed a lot. We did see on Raw that they faced off against each other before Nia got involved, and it seems like they're trying to tidy up the Becky Lynch and Nia Jax storyline before WrestleMania, try and clear that pathway. And also, again, potentially by having Becky win for the first time over Nia, it makes her look stronger moving into that match too. But yeah, we'll have to see how we go in there. One of the things I'm really keen to talk about, and please let me know in the comments what you thought. Australia really got behind Tiffany Stratton in a big way. Even social media, it was kind of ablaze with Tiffy time. What did you think of Tiffany Stratton's turn in the Elimination Chamber?
I think Tiffany Stratton is brilliant. I think she's the future, and I feel like because she's like the classic look that WWE used to always feed us, and we used to, those of us who, the wrestling fans among us, used to roll our eyes at, like the Dolly Bird thing. She actually can go. She just happens to look glorious at the same time. And it's, but I feel like that a lot of people are going to kind of be down on her because of how she looks and her having that stereotypical look that Vince and Laurinaitis, people like that used to go for. But I honestly think she's really, really talented. Her moonsault is one of the greatest I've ever seen. Her jumping off the cage, I knew she'd do that. I was banking on it. She's great. She's a massive star. She's got so much potential. I can't wait to see where they go with her. She could look like the back end of a truck, and I'd still think that about her because she's that, she's talented. She can talk. And the whole the whiny little princess routine, I don't think I've ever seen anyone do it this good since Charlotte Flair. Maybe not as good because it's a different kind of heat. But yeah, I'm really high on Tiffany Stratton. I can't wait to see what she does next. I hope she does something cool at Mania.
Yeah, absolutely. There's absolutely nothing there I can disagree with. I also think she's. I've seen it mentioned again a lot on social media where it's almost justification for WWE's change of how they were hiring new people into the company. Taking that chance on athletes rather than independent stars more so anyway. And she's prime candidate for that and a shining example of how well it can work out. This is, was her perfect way to be introduced to a lot of people because it's a multi-person match. She gets times to do like these big stunts that you can see here, let her character show out a little bit, but not have to be front and center the whole way through. So it's a really good way of like sprinkling her in into that kind of match as well. So I thought it was a great way. I know she's been on a little bit on SmackDown, but really this was her big sort of coming out event anyway. So great to see that she took it with both hands, and I'm sure you'll be hearing a lot more because I'm currently writing a bit of an article about Tiffany Stratton for WrestleSphere that will keep you updated. So make sure you follow along the socials, follow WrestleSphere on both YouTube and X or Twitter, whatever you want to kind of call it. We've got Nemeth at 45 in who says yo, and yes, Sam.
Yeah, sorry, just before we move on, mentioning WrestleSphere, our interview with rising UK star Rossi Rascal just went live on WrestleSphere. Go and have a look at that. Ross is a lovely bloke, does a lot for the community, does a lot for the industry. Go have a read of that. Go check out his matches at Target and PCW and support that guy. Sound guy. Sorry, Andy, but I thought while we're mentioning WrestleSphere, I thought let's get that in there now and pay some bills.
Absolutely no worries. Also on WrestleSphere, you can go back and you can read some interviews, whether it be with someone like Liv Morgan or with it being someone from TNA. There's always plenty of content across there, and I know for a fact there's plenty more content coming too. So make sure you're signed up for notifications on WrestleSphere. I say both on X and on YouTube. We are going to move on. We'll have a quick chat about Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan featured quite heavily, and obviously she had this sort of whole storyline of she's out to get revenge on Rhea. Came up a little bit short, but she has a massive social media following. What have you thought about Liv since she's come back? Do you think they're kind of showcasing the right way? She had an interesting Raw where she kind of called Becky out for being selfish and not everything's always about her. What do you see in terms of Liv moving forward to WrestleMania?
She seems a little bit lost in the shuffle for me. Like there's no question that she's a big star and has a lot of potential. There's absolutely no question from me there. But they need to find the right story for her. You know me, I'm a story guy. And I think that is what she needs. She needs the right angle, the right story to get us all hooked and interested. Because it's all well and good bringing her out and going, here she is, this is Liv Morgan, but give us a reason to care. Because we want to. We're prepared to. We want to invest. But I think WWE need to find just the right situation for her to be in, be it as a bad guy or a good guy. I don't really mind as long as it's good storytelling. So I don't think we should actually see her until they know what that is. Because her just coming out and cutting random promos that don't go anywhere or have matches against jobbers, I don't really think of the answer. The answer is do something substantial. That's just me.
Yeah, it's difficult to disagree. I think we've talked about it in the past. I personally believe now is the right time for a sort of mid-card level title, and Liv's the kind of person who could really benefit from that sort of thing. As you say, I think right now there's quite a few superstars in the women's division you could say are slightly lost in that shuffle of they're not quite at the level to be in the title matches, but that you wouldn't count them as jobbers. You kind of want to see them get a push, but it's about how do you position them, because that they've only got 2 titles and then they got the tag team belts, and the tag team belts seem to be a bit of an albatross because you get stuck in terms of being in that tag division, whereas what you actually want to do is raise your own star on your own feet, and I don't think there's enough championship opportunity to do that at the moment. So I think she'd be a perfect sort of, I don't know, IC, US title, whatever you want to kind of have it as the women's side of things. So watch that space. I think that's gaining more traction as the weeks go by, and the roster is getting stronger as well. We're going to move on. There was a Judgment Day defense title at the Chamber against Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, which I thought was probably the best wrestling match of the night. I mean, there was 2 Elimination Chambers and then the women's title as well. This was a great show for the guys from Britain. But again, we're going to keep saying it. Maybe it was a bit too obvious that Judgment Day were going to retain. It might have been a little bit of a shock. Not so much a shock as in if Nia Jax had won, but it certainly felt like enjoy the match, but you know what's going to happen. Am I right in that, or again, was it something that you enjoyed even though you knew what was going to happen?
Well, this out of all of the matches, this was the one that I actually thought is the not the most predictable out of all of them. I knew I was winning the men's chamber. I knew Rhea was winning. I knew he was winning the women's chamber. And you go, oh, you didn't know for sure. No, but come on now. This is the only one I thought they actually might swerve or something might change, because Judgment Day, there's some tension there. Some of them are teasing a face turn and some of them aren't. Let's not forget on Raw, we saw all of them behave a little bit more babyface this week. We saw Damian Priest stand up to Gunther. We saw Dominic Mysterio speak to Andrade very respectfully, which is not something he's done to anybody outside of Judgment Day in about 2 years. And we saw Finn Balor warmly encourage Dom in a wholesome way rather than a codependent way. So I remember thinking, oh, good. Well, you've got Rhett there with the image. What a pro of what I was talking about. So I actually thought here it might be a nice way because they've been building up Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate in a really, really cool way on TV. So I thought, I wonder if they're going to take the belts off Judgment Day and the implosion begins now. Because let's not forget, Send Your Money in the Bank still has that briefcase, and something's going to have to go down sooner rather than later. So this was the only one I kind of watched thinking, But yeah, Judgment Day won. The story continues. It's more predictable than it ends. But yeah, great match. Nothing bad to say. Again, didn't set the world on fire. All four men involved, I expect great things from, and all 4 men did great things. That it didn't, exceed my expectations, but it didn't let me down either.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing, I guess, coming out of this was on what happened on Raw with this showdown in particular, as you were mentioning. It seems to hint that maybe we'll get a Money in the Bank cash in on potentially the IC title. Certainly building this up, there's a chance that we get some sort of match, but it'd be interesting to see which way they go, because they could just have a match and then he not have the briefcase involved and then maybe use it afterwards if he lost. And it makes Gunther look strong in defeat, eventually losing the belt because he's had to have like kind of 2 back-to-back matches. You have the Judgment Day involved, but interesting times because they're still hinting that maybe the WrestleMania match we get is to do with Truth and the Miz being involved against Judgment Day. I personally in 2024 don't want to see that. It's not something that interests me. There's a lot of tag teams that they've been building up. DIY are around, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate as well. You've got people like Street Profits who are great tag teams. Imperium here, lots and lots of tag teams. So I would have expected there to be some sort of multi-man match, possibly a ladder match at WrestleMania to keep everyone interested. I don't mind Miz and Truth being involved in that. I just think in 2024, them to have a single one-on-one match, you know what I mean, or the tag team match sort of thing, feels a little bit weird because I don't think they were ever that over. Maybe it's just my mind, but
no, they're not. Honestly, they weren't. It seems to me that they kind of want R-Truth to do what Sami Zayn did, but he's not there. It's a very different story. Yes, he's an underdog. Yes, he's seeing things a little bit differently, but this is not that story, and they can't. There's no comparison either. I do like the idea of Priest cashing in on Gunther. I think that would really elevate the IC Championship even more so than it already has been, because people don't generally cash in on the mid-card belts, and that would really make that belt look a lot more prestigious if people are cashing in for it. So I kind of like that. But I personally, this is just me, I can't prove it, I might be wrong, I've been wrong before. I think Sami Zayn's going up against Gunther in a losing effort at WrestleMania. That's my prediction right now. But this Priest Gunther thing on the way there, I'm into it. And I like how Priest is the face in this feud. Which is like, I actually was mad on his behalf on Raw last week. I was like, get him, Priest, get him.
Yeah, it's almost like they kind of made Imperium are like the worst bad guys because they're both supposed to be people that you don't root for, but then because of how much you're supposed to hate Imperium and how sort of condescending and arrogant they come across, they supersede anything that you've seen from Judgment Day, because you know sometimes Judgment Day have been fairly livable before they're messing around with Truth. Maybe that was the plan, you know, to soften them up a little bit for more of a face run. But time will tell. We'll see how we get on over the next few weeks. You look like you've got something again to say.
Yeah, sorry, Matt. I've got one more prediction. And now you and I, people might know, we're not a fan of multi-team tag matches. We like it traditional 2-on-2 because it breaks kayfabe when you have 3 or 4 tag team guys, you know, in one ring. Now, WWE have usually been quite against that kind of booking, but recently they've been experimenting with it on Raw and SmackDown, much to my chagrin. I can see them doing that at Mania. I can see them having a four tag team teams in a match. Judgment Day being one of them, Truth and Miz being another, maybe DIY, whoever else. Now, it's a great way to showcase people and get them there, but that's really not for me. But if I was a betting man, I think that's where they're going.
I will say, though, I enjoyed the hell out of those exhibition matches that they had last year, where it was, I think the big one was like Alpha Academy had a good show in there in terms of like, you know, the flips out the ring and stuff like that. So they can do it well. It's just, I know what you mean. I'd rather, if they're going to do that, have it as a no DQ, because at the end of the day, no one can be disqualified. So why would you...
have it as a tornado. If you have it as a tornado, then if you remove the tag, everything's fine.
Yeah,
people can come and go when they want, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. There's no reason to ever tag in or tag out to an opposite team if you think about it.
No, and they always try and sell it that he's like, why would you try? You know, you always want to keep yourself in. I'm not even sure that would be my tactics. I would just let everyone else beat each other up, disappear for a little bit, and then when things look dicey, I'd tag myself in. It doesn't. They don't even sell it well on commentary. They seem to sell it the opposite of how psychology would work. But
it's done my head in for over 20 years. This issue has worked for a very long time. But I just wanted to get that in there.
No worries. David's in. It's a very interesting interaction between these two groups. I like the fact that they no longer seem beholden to a face must fight a heel, and that's the only way it will ever be. And I think under Triple H you start to see certain things change and like dynamics change, and it doesn't matter if someone's a face in a face, they'll find a way and a motivation for them to have like this kind of showdown. And I liked the way that they did this as well. So I should say very interesting. It's a good way of putting it. Normal, let Zayn take Gunther to the limit at Mania, then have Priest interfere to a KO'd ref. Priest knocked out Zayn with the case, and the ref wakes up to Priest cashing in to win. Could be simple as that. It absolutely could be. And I think it will make Sami Zayn very sympathetic as a babyface as well, because if this is the moment where you think he's going to win, and finally Gunther's going to be toppled in a match, only for Priest to be the one who gets the win, would really kind of like put a win behind Zayn as well, like moving forward. So I wouldn't be against that at all. Good
I was going to say with that last match, I'm always often very, very interested in the heel versus heel dynamic, because it's a great, like, the best storytelling in wrestling, in my opinion, is when a villain sees the light. It's a face turn and what causes it. With Bailey, we've just seen it. So I do kind of like, and also a heel versus heel. It's Freddie versus Jason. That's always a fascinating concept, and you can't get that from anything other than a heel versus heel feud. So sorry, mate, over to you.
Yeah. No. I mean, there's an interesting point there, because on Raw we will kind of cover what happened on there, but you saw that kind of look on Drew's face when he realised that Seth was actually speaking quite a lot of sense. When you start to see someone who's been quite heelish think, actually, the good guy's got a bit of a point there, and I hadn't really thought about it, and that was quite an interesting moment that you saw. But Drew did pick up the win, and this is one of those ones that will probably be resigned to the annals of what if Punk hadn't got injured. Would it have been him that would be winning this kind of match and going up against Seth? We'll never know. But sometimes when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And this is certainly what Drew seems to have done. I don't know what the future holds for Drew McIntyre. I don't have any contacts that could say that he's signed or he hasn't signed. I'll let you guys, be a detective on Twitter or X, what you want to call it, as to whether that's true or not. I will say, why would you put someone who has potentially no future in the business or in your company as one of the main events of a WrestleMania up for the title if you weren't either going to give him a contract or if he's already signed one? That would be the only thing I would say.
9 days ago, it's a disinformation campaign to make him look like a great heel and to get some dirt sheet headlines. They are working everybody, and it's brilliant. I'm here for it.
Yeah. And I thought on this one, although it was potentially predictable that Drew would win, as we've said a few times tonight, I still think this was the right choice because he's been doing some great work as a heel. He's getting the reactions from the audience. It makes sense. You also had all these kind of like different storylines going on inside this match as well, which I thought was the reason why it was a very strong match. We had things like AJ Styles getting involved, setting up stuff with LA Knight, Logan Paul and Randy Orton. Was there a moment in this match where you could point to and go, that was a really cool moment, that was my favorite moment of this match?
Yeah, it was Kevin Owens champing at the bit to get to Logan Paul, who was brilliant in this, by the way. And it also surprised me because I thought something was going to go down between LA Knight and Logan Paul and that build to Mania, but instead, no. We got Randy Orton and Logan Paul. Looks like the money match. And AJ Styles versus LA Knight. So, yeah, I'm all right with that. That's 2 matches on a WrestleMania card. That would work nicely for me. There was a nice surprise, I suppose. I think Logan Paul versus Randy Orton, I didn't realise how badly I wanted to see that until right now. So, I'm into it. I thought this was the best match of the night by a mile. Everybody involved was brilliant. Everybody played their role spectacularly. I think McIntyre is absolutely superb right now. And when it comes to, I actually think this whole CM Punk thing, I don't want to say anything disrespectful here, because the man got injured, bless him. But I actually think this might be a bit of a gift because what we're going to get out of this at some point is a McIntyre Punk feud, and that's going to be fire. Rollins versus Punk, we know he's going to be great, but it can wait. I don't mind waiting a year for that. Dude, build it up. Let's have some more promos between the two. Let's make this, the feud of the century. But McIntyre and Punk, when that goes down, because I think McIntyre's beating Rollins at Mania. I think it's a great story because Rollins' body is breaking down. It's failing him. He will still be a strong, he's done what a champion is supposed to do. He's stood there and he's defended and he's defended and he's defended, and the injuries have mounted up, and he's eventually taken down, not just by an opportunistic heel, but another a warrior who's trying to finish his own story and a sympathetic heel. So this is storytelling gold, and I don't know if we would have got this if it wasn't for the Punk injury. I want Punk's get a speedy recovery. I'd like him to come back soon.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of him personally, for reasons we've discussed many a time before. But in terms of a wrestler, there's nothing bad I can say. I say get a microphone in that guy's hand as much as we can in the run up to that. But yeah, this was great, mate. I went back and watched this a second time. It was that good. This was worth getting up for if you're in the US.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of things. So I'll start with the sort of CM Punk, Drew McIntyre stuff that's going on. Like, I thought Drew taking the mick out of him a few times, sitting cross-legged, and saying that sort of stuff, and saying, "Oh yeah, I've got a busted up eardrum, and I'm not going to be going to WrestleMania." And then I said, "Who do you think I am, CM Punk?" Was really cool, and it's heavily hinting. There's so many hints. Surely that Drew is re-signed. I can't understand how this is a question at this point, because they wouldn't leave as much money on the table as it seems to be by not giving him a favorable deal. The stars seem to align that he could win the title at WrestleMania, and surely that's the whole thing that he wants. But I saw a mock-up, and I didn't think I was that bothered, and then I saw it and I was like, actually, that's really cool. There was this someone had put the when they had the title cards of like it's going to be Drew versus Rollins, but they had CM Punk as special guest referee. And at first I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, wait a second. CM Punk having to count to 3 for either of these guys would be so golden for him and set up such a cool storyline after that. Now I'm like, I don't know how we get there, but I want to see it because I want to see him at Mania. I want to see him have to do that, and how they would kind of go out of WrestleMania as well. I think that would be absolute money. So I'd be all for that. And then, there's a couple of comments as well. And we will speak about Logan Paul because I thought Logan Paul was the MVP here. I thought Randy Orton did a fantastic job selling his back injury, as he has done since he's been back. You genuinely feel worried that something's wrong when he does it. And maybe there is a little bit of pain there for him, and he's kind of like dialing that up to 11. These two guys were great throughout. Have you seen that video that WWE released where Logan Paul's? It was a video of Logan Paul nearly on the outside of the ring, and the reason why he was still in the ring to hit him.
No, I should probably scope it out. No,
have a look. WWE put it on their socials, and it's basically like Logan Paul is like near the exit for the Elimination Chamber. The referee's trying to get him out, and he's shouting, "I can't move," while rolling around. And he's waiting for his spot, and he's trying to say, "I can't get out, I can't get out." And then when he hears the RKO, he jumps up and then punches him. And then he says to the end, he says to the referee, I tricked you. And the referee's like, "No, you didn't. I told you were faking it." It's actually a very little thing to do, but fantastic work. And as Norma said, like him or loathe him, by the way, outside of wrestling, he has put in the work and he's doing some fantastic things. And he's actually there's certain people who have a passing interest in wrestling, but, bigger outside of it. And I got a friend who's like that. He messaged me and said, seeing an RKO on Logan Paul's really cool. Like Randy Orton versus Logan Paul. Like, I'm interested in that. And that's one of those ones where Randy Orton and his RKO have been a meme. It went viral. So this match is one of those ones you put at WrestleMania and people will be like, yeah, I'll watch that, or I'm actually really interested. So they will get eyes on the product. So I can see exactly why they've done it.
It's just as well, there's a feature cooking, I think, in me for WrestleSphere about Logan Paul and what more does this guy need to do to get your respect, ladies and gentlemen. This guy chooses he has a day job as a WWE superstar, but this guy doesn't need a day job. He chooses to have one. He turns up to TV to do this for the fun. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the fame. He doesn't need any of these things. He does it because he's thought, oh my God, I'm good at this.
Yeah.
And it is about time we put some respect on his name. I don't know anything about him on Impulsive or any of that. All I know is the wrestler Logan Paul, and I like what I see, and I don't understand what there isn't to love about this guy. If I met him, I'd probably hate him. But Although there's a high chance you and I will end up interviewing him one of these days, Andy. So we better not say that. So
possibly,
yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of the reputation from himself is outside of wrestling. There's certain failed ventures when it comes to crypto and things like that, or like very disrespectful things he did in his early days on YouTube to do with like the Japanese forest, where he disrespectfully did things there, and that's the stuff that. Yeah.
Sorry, just to pipe in there. I did see that. A friend of mine showed me that, and because a lot of people say that, and I'll just very, very briefly, because we're discussing wrestling. I'll give you my take on that. I saw a group of friends vlogging themselves going into a forest which is known for suicides. They were a little bit, isn't it scary? Isn't it this? There were a bunch of young people doing that. Then they came across an actual body, and they're a bit traumatized by it, but they decide they don't film the body and just like leave the camera on it. Instead, they kind of talk to each other, and the whole thing then kind of becomes a conversation about, look, if you need help, talk to somebody. I
think that's an edited version, because he definitely did. Yeah, they did have the body originally on and things like that. So I think it was a case of like he had some backtracking to do. Certainly, I've seen things where he's a bit more disrespectful in the way he was talking rather than seeking help. So, but we've all made mistakes when we were younger. That was a pretty big mistake and a big learning curve, and that's apparently one of the reasons why The Rock won't have anything to do with him, which is a legitimate beef that those two have, which I don't think we've seen any interaction since, because The Rock said he just wouldn't, and Logan Paul talked about that on his show as well. But inside a wrestling ring, and that's where a lot of people will actually only know him from, because I don't think, people our age in wrestling will know too much about the stuff that Logan Paul's done in the past. They'll just see this arrogant guy who's come in as a sort of newbie and is very good and very easy to hate, and he makes it very easy to hate him as well. That's his job, and as you say, he seems to enjoy it. He seems to be putting in the hard work. He's there most weeks as well at the moment, so even his work ethic there, you can't kind of call into question too much, and he has a ridiculous amount of money, whether it's from his YouTube boxing stuff, whether it's from Prime, whether it's from anything else that he's done. He doesn't need this, but he does it seemingly for the love of it. And even if it's like a late love for it, who are we to judge him for that side of things? And as Normar said, Ronda Rousey struggled with her transition to WWE. Logan's took to it like a duck to water, especially in comparison, 100%.
Yeah.
We'll move on.
I just think, final thoughts, I think he's great. I'd miss him if he went away. I wouldn't start watching his bloody podcast. I'm too old. But I would miss him in wrestling.
For the last couple of minutes, we're going to talk about the other thing that happened there, which is very strange for a premium live event. I don't know if I like it when they do this sort of stuff, when they have the talk show, spots. But it was a way for Grayson Waller to kind of go out in front of his home crowd as well. The chance to do that, I guess, lent itself to Seth not being able to fight. You had Cody Rhodes. It's always great to have him on any kind of premium live event, and this maybe was the best way to get it across. The big news coming out of it was Cody saying he wants to fight The Rock. Didn't really give any kind of deadline as to when that happens, but he wants to fight The Rock one-on-one. Seth said he's obviously there to help, and then we saw a beatdown of Austin Theory. What did you think of this, very briefly? What did you think of this section or segment, whatever you want to kind of call it?
Yeah, I'll keep this as quick as I can. I thought it was a little bit out of place on the pay-per-view. I was very much hoping that it would lead to another match. Now I know Seth can't compete, and I think Grayson Waller was an overwhelming babyface during these events. Well, somewhat. He was still him, but I do think we should have had a tag match where the heels won versus Cody and perhaps somebody like Sami Zayn. Someone. Did Jey Uso perform this night at Elimination Chamber? No, he didn't. Or Jey Uso then. I think this should have been a quick impromptu tag match. It shouldn't have gone on as long as it did. I'm a bit disappointed. Like our community, the Gimme a Whole Year community, I hated every second of it. I like the announcement from Cody, but this should have been a match. And the talking segment should have been on SmackDown. That's just me. Could have squeezed out a nice little match. Got a few more stars on the show. Got Cody on the show. Got Seth, ringside. Yeah, I think Grayson Waller should have won. Austin Theory still could have got his ass kicked. He still could have teased some tension between the heel team as well. I would have done this very differently. That's just me.
Yeah, this did lead into to Monday Night Raw, and after Cody's match with Grayson Waller, Paul Heyman came out and basically said, "You really don't want to be calling The Rock out. Take his name out your mouth." He made reference to the Will Smith stuff at the Oscars last year, which is all great stuff. And we actually saw a little bit of fire from Cody, which I think is what they're trying to build into. He's not always just going to be the nice guy. He does have something in him that, very frustrated. And we'll find out. I think I've got the slide. Yeah, we'll find out tonight with Sam on SmackDown. Apparently, The Rock will respond to Cody Rhodes. So it was a nice way to kind of finish off and plug the fact that you can join Sam for a watch along tonight of SmackDown. First in about 12 minutes, you've also got a prediction show for AEW, which I believe at least Dan is going to be joining for, maybe Ant. You can join those guys and they'll explain a little bit more about how that works, but you can join them there. Sam, you were going to say something there?
Oh no, I was crying. I was joke crying about how I need to stay up till 3 a.m. tonight. So that's all it was. But I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't there last week because I was away and I was ill a little bit before. Actually, I was ill and then away. Great combination. And I'm not here next week either because I'm in Centre Parks. But I am going to do SmackDown tonight because otherwise it's a 3-week gap and that's just not. So yeah, I'll be here tonight. And look at that card. Looking good.
Yeah, so these are the official title cards, and it's a bit annoying that Bayley's and EO's hasn't been updated to be the same, but that seems to be the way they're going with that feud for some reason. It hasn't really got the same kind of love. I don't know why they didn't have some sort of match involving those people within the feud. Very strange for me. It would have been nice to have seen that, but never mind. And it would have fleshed out the card as well. But we have 4 matches set for WrestleMania, and seemingly we've got a lot more on the way as well. So I think SmackDown could be another one where, because we are, about 36 days away, we are going to get some matches ramped up and added to the card pretty quickly. But this are your 4 world heavyweight titles, whatever you want to kind of call them, world titles. This is what it looks like. Yes or no? Does this make you excited to watch WrestleMania 40?
Yes. Very much so. I think all 4 of these are the right calls considering the situation we're in. Like, we're a Lesnar down, we're a Punk down, but McIntyre versus Rollins, I know we've seen it before, but I don't care. I'll happily watch it again. And it's never had this amount of stakes either. So it feels fresh to me. There's a lot of storyline with Drew McIntyre that's been brilliant. There's a lot of story with Rollins that's been brilliant. Cody Roman is back on. I am pleased about that. That is the right call. But I do still want The Rock on the card. Of course I do. Like, anyone who ever doubted that needs to give the head a wobble. Of course I want to see The Rock on the card. Don't be stupid. With the women's matches, these are the 2 money matches for me. Now, I want a decent match for the United States Championship. I want a decent match for the IC. We've got 2 great champs. I'm really looking forward to seeing where those stories go as well. Very much so. And there's a few other things cooking as well, which are more than likely going to be WrestleMania matches. Because, like we said at the start of the stream, Andy, that is the next pay-per-view. This is going down. And you must be off planes at the moment.
Yeah, I am, and I'm probably will be by the time Philly's all said and done as well. But as you say, these are just 4 matches that have been announced. There's some great ones on the horizon. As you say, we've got both the IC, the US title matches seemingly will come along, which will be most likely Logan Paul, Randy Orton, maybe throw Kevin Owens in there as well. You've got the IC belt where you've got a few people sniffing around on there as well, with Sami Zayn and his story about getting back on track with his career. AJ Styles, LA Knight, we might see a bit more about that on SmackDown tonight. There's another match we might see. Tag divisions are heating up. Tag divisions on Raw, SmackDown, NXT, you name it, it's going down. We're going to see Dakota Kai team with Bayley. No doubt we'll see some sort of shenanigans tonight on that tag match as Dakota Kai finally makes a return after a very serious injury. Sean Spears came back on NXT. He's back.
I know.
And
How cool.
Very interesting. He's not even Ty Dillinger anymore. He's Sean Spears.
It totally makes sense because he's. Yeah. Do you think I honestly think he was a way more interesting character as the chairman, when he smashed Cody over the head, that time than he ever was, because he showed some edge, he showed some fire. Yeah, I think it's the right move. I think some wrestlers go away and they come back, and their new gimmicks eclipse their old gimmicks, or their new personas eclipse their old personas and names. And I think with Sean Spears, this is the right place for him to be. I think his time came to an end in AEW, and it does for some people. Yeah, really excited. Sorry, mate, I interrupted you with my excitement, my hype.
No. That's what we're here for, is to make sure people know what to watch and what to tune in for. NXT's got Roadblock on Tuesday, so I'm sure we'll reference that next week when I'm on. But we're going to round things off there, because we could talk about individual things all night. There's lots still to come over on Gimme a Whole Year as well, so make sure you've hit that subscribe button. Make sure you've hit the subscribe button for Wrestling Royalty as well. But we are going to leave it there. Make sure you let us know in the comments, are these 4 matches getting you very excited for Philly in just over 30 odd days now? So we are very firmly on that road to WrestleMania. As cliche as it might be to say it, it does feel like we're zooming along, and it will be here before we know it. And we are here just to enjoy it, just as much as you guys are as well. So make sure you watch along with Sam, watch along on Mondays with Dan, and we'll see it all play out together. And I will, of course, be back next Friday as well. I think there's only one thing left we can say. He's been Sam. I've been Andy. This has been Wrestling Royalty.